Humans have always told stories of things in the dark, monsters that watch from the shadows, beings that slip between nightmare and waking life. But what if these weren't just stories? What if something real inspired them? Tonight we continue our descent into stranger, darker, and more terrifying creatures than before. The first creature is Bigfoot. Witnesses describe it as towering 8 to 10 feet tall, covered in thick, dark hair, moving with extraordinary speed and strength. The first reports go back centuries. In 1811, explorer David Thompson found enormous footprints. In 1884, a Canadian paper claimed a gorilla-like creature had been captured. In 1924, prospectors on Mount St. Helens reported gorilla men that hurled boulders at their cabin. But it was in 1958 that the name Bigfoot was born. Massive tracks near Bluff Creek, California, made headlines. Soon, the legend spread across America. The most famous sighting came in 1967, the Patterson-Gimlin film. It shows a massive, hairy figure striding through a clearing. To some, undeniable proof. To others, the greatest hoax in cryptid history. Native legends speak of Tsonakwa, a child-stealing ogre. Some believe this inspired the Sasquatch myth. Others point to Gigantopithecus, a giant ape that once lived in Asia, as a possible explanation. But science offers no answers. Hair and blood samples usually turn out to be from bears, deer, or even humans. In 2014, Oxford researchers tested dozens of samples. None belonged to a primate, and yet the legend refuses to die. With more than 10,000 reported encounters in the US, Bigfoot remains one of the most famous mysteries on Earth. Next, the Leshy, a shape-shifting forest guardian, feared for luring travelers deep into the woods. Number 2, the Leshy, a spirit of the Slavic forests. Sometimes he appears as a withered old man with bark for skin, moss for a beard, and glowing green eyes. Other times, he grows tall as the trees or shrinks to the size of an ant. The Leshy is a shapeshifter. He can become a wolf, a bear, a tree, even the whisper of the wind. Sometimes he doesn't appear at all. He uses the voices of a friend calling their name or a crying child to entice travelers farther into the woods, until they are lost forever. Legends say he abducts children and leaves moss-covered changelings in their place. To hunters and shepherds, he was the master of the woods. Offerings of bread, eggs, or blood were left under birch trees. In return, he drove animals into traps or guarded herds. But if you broke the pact, you died. As Christianity spread, worship of the Leshy was branded devilry. Yet he wasn't always cruel. Tricks like wearing clothes backward could amuse him into sparing travelers. His moods shifted with the seasons, playful in spring, violent in autumn, silent in winter. Modern stories like The Witcher portray him as a vengeful guardian of nature. Skeptics say the tales just explain why people got lost. Coming up, meet the Kodama, quiet guardians of ancient trees whose presence echoes in whispers through Japan's mountains. The next creature is the Kodama, a spirit born from the ancient forests of Japan. They echo your voice back as if the woods themselves are speaking. When they do appear, it's usually as faint glowing orbs or small, strange humanoid figures watching from the trees. A Kodama's life is tied directly to its tree. If the tree thrives, so does the spirit. But if the tree dies, the Kodama perishes with it. Cutting down such a tree is considered one of the gravest sins, bringing curses, illness, and ruin to anyone who dares. Some trees even bleed when struck, a sure sign of a Kodama dwelling inside. In ancient Japan, these beings were revered as kami, or tree deities. Villagers believed they blessed the land with vitality, and to honor them, sacred ropes, called shimenawa, were tied around their trees. The oldest record of tree gods appears in the Kojiki, which mentions Wakunochi no Kami, the god of trees. But over time, their status changed. By the Edo period, Kodama were no longer worshipped as gods, but reimagined as yokai. Some legends even gave them human traits, spirits who could fall in love, transform into humans, and marry mortals. Artists also captured their image. In Toriyama Sekien's Gazu Hyaki Yagyo, they appear as an old couple living beside ancient trees, guardians of the forest. Other texts, like the Reiki from the 13th century, describe whole groups of Kodama deep in the mountains. In modern times, the Kodama are remembered most vividly in pop culture, especially in Studio Ghibli's Princess Mononoke, where they appear as eerie, childlike spirits, clicking their heads and filling the forest with life. Next, the Faeries, tricksters of the unseen world and guardians of hidden treasures. Number 4, the Irish Faeries. They are descendants of the Tuatha De Danann, ancient gods who ruled Ireland before humans. These spirits are powerful but unpredictable. Some appear as radiant, winged beings, blessing mortals with good fortune. Others are tricksters or kidnappers. Their world, the fairy world, exists alongside ours in caves, barrows, tree hollows, and mounds. Disturbing these places invites disaster. Leprechauns are the most famous fairies. They are small and clever. They guard pots of gold and grant wishes. Pixies, by contrast, are tiny woodland spirits, dancing in meadows and stirring mischief. In old times, parents feared that their weak or sickly child had been taken and replaced by a changeling. Rescuing the child required precise rituals. Failure meant the child remained in the fairy world forever. Time moves differently there. A single night could equal a year in our world. Those who returned often came back changed, silent, forbidden from speaking of what they saw. Even today, Ireland respects the fairies. Lone hawthorn trees are treated with caution, and in 1999, a motorway was rerouted to avoid one. People carried charms, garlands of flowers, clover, or rowan wood for protection. Coming up, meet the elves, more beautiful than the sun, guardians of ancient realms. Number 5, the elves. They are split into light elves, fairer than the sun, and dwelling in Alfheim, and dark elves, or Svartalfar, blacker than ink, living underground. They are tied to the god Freyr. Elves joined gods in council, rode into battle, and were even their lovers. Their relationship with humans was complicated. They could cause illness or heal, and they could even have sex with humans, giving birth to magically gifted children. Wayland the Smith, a legendary craftsman, demonstrates the dangerous nature of elves. Captured and crippled by King Nithith, he forged treasures while plotting revenge, murdering the king's sons, transforming their bones into ornaments, and seducing the king's daughter before fleeing. Over time, elves evolved in folklore. Shakespeare portrayed them as tiny, playful spirits. Tolkien later reimagined them as tall, noble warriors, the elves we see in modern fantasy. In Norse mythology, Swedish Elvor were forest elf maidens dancing in meadows. They left elf circles of flattened grass behind them. Stepping inside could cause insanity. Observing their dance had the power to distort time itself. You could lose decades. Even today, people make offerings near groves and stone mounds to honor them. Next, the Nuckelavee, a skinless horse demon of the sea, feared as the most terrifying creature in Scottish folklore. Number 6, the Nuckelavee, or Devil of the Sea, is one of Scotland's most terrifying legends. Picture a massive horse with a single burning red eye, fins for legs, and a giant man rising from its back, its arms dragging and a head lolling from shoulder to shoulder. Worst of all, it has no skin. Black blood courses through yellow veins, and its raw muscles writhe in full view. Its breath brings blight and epidemics and kills cattle. In Orkney, only the mither of the sea during summer and the monster's fear of fresh water kept it at bay. Otherwise, the islands might have become barren. In Stronsay, it was thought that burning the seaweed enraged the Nuckelavee, whose curse sickened all of the horses in the area. Skeptics argue that burning seaweed produces arsenic, which is what caused animals to become ill, but locals saw the curse as proof of its wrath. No evidence proves the Nuckelavee ever existed. No bones, no remains. Yet its legend endures, a chilling reminder of the sea's fury. That's it for today. If you like this dive into myths, give it a like and subscribe to the channel. And don't miss our other videos. They're every bit as fascinating and terrifying. See you in the next one.